welcome to Shaky Videos Musical Instruction. So the question is, I'm listening to music and I know my chords, C, F, G, but when I listen to music I hear things going on in the chords that are beyond what I'm playing, and they're different and they make it sound cooler, and why don't I know what those are? And there are sort of deep answers to that, which I've kind of read but never found very helpful. So the first way I learned these things is the way that's been the most helpful over the years. So I'll kind of talk about that a little bit. And I'm going to use the song Breathe because I think everybody knows it to some extent. And I'm going to do it in C, which is probably going to put my singing in a range that's relatively unpleasant, but we're going to do what we can. So let's think about this song, Breathe. It's C. This is the air I breathe. F. Back to C. This is the air I breathe. Up to F. Back to C. Your very word. There's your A minor, which is the minor in this key, relative minor. Spoken. The F there to me. So each chord I've played in its first position, basically. Your very word, the A minor, spoken to me. And you could do that, and that's fine. But there are things you can do. And it's not just adding notes, it's also taking notes away that really give you a more sophisticated, open sound. The first thing we got to do is talk about the number system, because you have to have a common language to think about what notes you're going to add or take away from a chord, and that's just how it goes. So in C, the C is the 1. The C scale is, and that's 8 notes. The 8 is the C, which repeats. So we're really talking about potentially 7 different notes, not inclusive of these notes. All 12 is called the chromatic scale. The do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do is called the diatonic scale. So we're only going to concern ourselves with these 7 notes from C to B. C is the 1. D is the 2. E is the 3. F is the 4. G is the 5. A is the 6th. B is the 7th. And we're back to the 1, or in this case, the 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Now, it gets a little bit weird because that's just C. And when we go to F and I start adding numbers, that's going to reset the number system from, say, F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's a little bit confusing. The best way to do this, unfortunately, is just going to be to sit down at a piano and kind of grind it out until it gets into your head. And it's a kind of a fun cognitive exercise, but it's really the only way to really understand what's happening. It's very mathematical. But let's just take the C chord and we'll start there and we'll keep it simple. This is the air I breathe. I won't change chords just to keep it simple. And you can start the song this way if you wanted to. And this is the first position C chord, C, E, G. And this makes it a major chord because this E is in the diatonic major scale, 1, 3, 5. Now, what can we do? We can take away a note, and let's take the 3rd away. You should be able to hear that this is a different sound. It's like a more open sound. What if you just take the 5 out and just go minor? It's just the octaves. We're just playing C's. These all sound differently. The other thing you can do is change your inversion of C. This is a C second inversion. C first inversion, G, C, E, E, G, C. The idea is At any time, we're playing all the notes of the C chord, C, E, and G in any order. But they all have a distinctive sound. And so one of the things you want to do is just sit with that and get a sense for how each one sounds. You know, and you're sitting here, you know, in ministry time or whatever. So you get sick of that, and you want to make it sound a little bit differently. So let's add the second, since that's the first note. And already we can see we've opened up a whole world of color that's available, that just being in the 1, 3, and 5. And this is just me playing with the notes we've already discussed, the C, E, the G. But adding that second there, in this case it's the D of the C chord. You can do all three, or just have it like that, D and G. All of a sudden you've got a whole different sounding thing, and it sounds a lot closer, in my opinion, to the kind of piano that you hear when you hear people that know how to play piano. Play piano, right? We'll take that same second, let's add it to the other chords. And in F it'll be 1, 2, that's a G. And then in G it'll be the A. So it's the second of each chord. So when we say C second, C add 2, C sus 2, these are all different ways of saying we're adding a D. Same thing with F, we're adding that G. Same thing again, just put it up top. So this is like much more a sound that we kind of find associated with worship music. This is the air I breathe. See, we're doing the C, F, G. We're adding the sus 2, the G to the F. This is the air I breathe. That's your 2 there. You're very, let's put that in there. You're very well spoken. That's your A minor, and I'm doing something that we'll talk about later. To me. All right, that's the 2. That's a cool one. Now, I'll tell you right now that for the most part, you can always add the 2. And so I think of it as a free note. In other words, you can always slide that in and sound better. That's what I mean by free. And I think I'm the only person that I've ever heard call it that, but all right, the 3 we already know about because it's part of the chord, 1 through 5. So that brings us to the 4. Now you'll see something called C sus or G sus or sus add 4 or C4. For the most part, these all mean the same thing, which is just that we're adding the 1, 2, 3, the 4. You can add this too. Then what did G, C, D? That's a G sus or a G add 4. That's a cool one too, and I'll show you where it goes best. We're gonna go back to the second, the C add second. This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. We're gonna keep our F on a second for a second, and I'll explain why. You're very very. There's your 5th, which is the G. Now I say 5th, I mean the chord of the song that we're in. That's the G. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's So G is the fifth chord here, F is the fourth, C is the... So there's two different number scales kind of playing alongside each other. It's a little bit confusing, but it's not that difficult. When it's the name of a chord, we're talking about the number in relationship to the chord. When we're talking about the song, we're talking about the chord structure in relationship to the song. That's tough, but you'll definitely get there. Your very word. The sus4 works best on the 5 chord. Spoken. It doesn't work at all on the 4th. Your very word. See, because to add a 4 here, you have to add the note in the actual diatonic scale of the scale that we're talking of the chord. In other words, when we talk about F, the 4 of F is actually 1. That's the F scale. As you probably realize, there's a B flat. That takes us out of the C diatonic scale in which the song that we are is playing. That's weird, it's confusing, but we're talking about the C scale. So when we add a 4 to F, that's too much because it's taking us out of the scale. That's not gonna work. In the G scale, this C here isn't clashing with the scale of the song that we are in because obviously we're already in C. It would only be if we started adding the 7th of the G scale that we'd start having problems. So what we have so far, let's review. We have the second, and I mean second in relationship to the scale of the chord that we're in. F, second, G, second. Again with the 4th. On the C, I only want to add it like to suggest movement. I'm only adding the second on the F there. So why does that C, the G, or the sus4, 1, 2, 3, 4, why does that sus work well on the 5 chord? Because the 5 chord is, you can think about it always pointing back to the 1. This is the resolution. This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. You're very. This is pointing us somewhere, and you just have to sit and listen to that chord. Think about it, where it feels like it's going in your head. Spoken to me. It's not resolved yet. Back to the 1. Now we're resolved. See that? Spoken to me. It's pointing. So that is your sus2 and your sus4, a very brief introduction.